Hello hero, it's Lucy Lanhorn, back for your next lunar reading concerning the full elder moon in Gemini, which is happening within half an hour of this if you're seeing it live or on premiere, and thank you if you are, and which concerns kind of late November if you're not, but also if you're seeing this video at any other timing recommended. It may just be that what we're doing here is relevant to you whenever you're seeing it, okay? So this will cover the period of the next few days. I believe the next lunation is, I want to say December 5th, but I might be wrong on that. Have a look in the description because I'll put it down there. So between this full moon as we're going live and the next moon phase, we're going to look at what you can expect, just in a very general sense, general reading for a large audience. If you are interested in these lunars, I do them 4 times a month at quarter and full lunations. So it is a good regular check-in, even if you're not sort of a person who watches readings on individual topics or whatever, as with the rest of the channel. It's worth a subscription just to check in on the lunation stuff. And I do it sort of to where I am in the world, which is northern hemispheric and all of that good stuff. But you know, wherever you are, whether the moon looks the same way to you, whether that you're working with the same tree spirits, etc., this should be just covering the period that it goes up. So where are we? Right, I'm getting 2 of those, are we? That's a nice organised thing for that. This is my DIY love deck, which may not be sort of mentioning love and may not be addressed to you directly in what it says. These are my archetype cards. This is the blood tarot that we're working with today. We've got the This Day I Am cards for an activity, and we've got Bob Ross checking in for kind of Jerry's final thought at the end. So I'll just pop in down here. Hopefully we'll remember it. All right, let's get your This Day I Am. I feel like this one wants to come out. I did shuffle these, so I don't know what that one is, guys. I'm just going to turn these over. Ooh, trickster in the reverse. What an interesting energy. And then we've got learning something new, discover a skill or subject that inspires you, expand your mind, find motivation through acquiring skills and knowledge. The reverse trickster says manipulating others through duplicity. Dang. And then we've got I can't sleep and it's because of you, because of this, and I don't belong to anyone else, nor will I in the future. Interesting stuff, particularly if you did come for a love reading, although I'm not saying that's what this is until we get into the tarot, which I love this deck, not sponsored or anything, but she made it literally with her own blood and sweat and tears, and because of these sort of Rorschach images, it's a great one to use because it's like having a tarot deck and an oracle card deck in one, because you're kind of reading the pictures in a different way to what you would with your regular Thoth, your regular Smith-Waite, if such a thing can be considered to exist, even your regular Marseille. Alright, we're starting with a bang, aren't we? I'm gonna do another shuffle of these and start taking them from the invisible side. I've noticed that actually, that I'm keen to pick stuff from the top. The Emperor might be relevant. This may concern a masculine. Doesn't have to, nor do you have to be interested in men. Yeah, I keep taking from the top in these things and then sort of going, oh, that makes it look like it's fixed, I must do it the other way, and then doing it the other way. But I think actually this is leaping out in this reading because that's something. And now I'm hearing the phrase, take it from the top. There's something here about doing something in a way that is clear to other people as not being duplicitous, and duplicity came up here. Also, I do apologise about the noise levels outside. There are works going on in my community. I kind of can't do much about that at the moment. And I've done all the nighttime filming I possibly can without pissing off my neighbours to the maximum. So I am sorry if you can hear trucks and things like that. They're putting up some scaffolding on the place next to me. So, okay. Here for security reasons, if you think that narrows down where I live, you're in for a shock. I know that's like, most of you are wonderful, but I do have a couple of haters out there, and they'd love to know where I live, I think. And I just want to say, like, we're not the only road in my district being worked on in this way at the moment, and I'll leave it at that. So Godspeed to you. That may be relevant in a broader sense rather than me being sort of spirit paranoid, in the sense that you may have somebody that you know is watching, that you know is observing. I mean, in the last lunation reading, we had someone kind of congratulating you, but not really, in this passive aggressive, like, ugh way. And I feel for some of you there's a continuation of that energy, as indeed there quite often is with the monthly lunars, to sort of say there's somebody that would love to know your business right now, and I don't think you're letting them in, and good for you. All right, I'm just going to sit with these for one quick sec, and you'll feel a cut. No, sorry, there will be a cut, which hopefully you won't feel. You'll feel a cut is interesting. You may have injured yourself, and I'm not saying it's coming if it hasn't, but if you've cut your hand or had a paper cut or something recently, this is your confirmation. I'm hearing for some of you, you're also on blood thinners. Hello. Hail to my post-stroke, etc. collective. Right, I am going to have a quick sesh meditating on these. I'll be back in a jiff. My dudes, I'm back. If you weren't looking for a love reading for this time period, then by all means listen and take this as a vibe that is applicable in a different way to friendship or family or something like that. But really what I'm being pushed to say from Spirit is that this is kind of a love reading. And if you're already partnered up, or it's just not relevant to you at this time, there may be something else in here to pick up and sort of deal with. But that is where I'm going. So I don't want to say click off now, because I'm going to address this bit first, but when I address the tarot, it will get pretty love heavy. So sorry about that. I actually designed my channel to have minimal love readings because there's a lot out there. And you can book with me privately if you want that, link down below. But yeah, it's when it comes up, I can't say no. Okay, so firstly, separate to all of this, maybe sort of peripheral to it, you do you. Not saying third party if you don't know, but for those of you who do know, take that in. There is somebody being really manipulative in a situation here. Duplicity, specifically in having their eye on what you're doing and feeding back differently to another person, possibly someone you're interested in or interested in being around, as a result of what it is that they're seeing when they're spying, when they're doing their trickery. Trickster in reverse is, it makes me think of like manipulative glamour energy and sort of darker stories about the good folk, and how somebody can be lulled into a false sense of security thinking something is one thing, and actually all along, you know, you whip off the mask and it's some kind of malevolent little gnome. And what I'm hearing from Spirit is that I'm using the words malevolent little gnome because that might be how you refer to a third party if this is a love reading. No judgment here. I have my own names for Jada, or my Jada, should I say. But yeah, it's quite a funny one, that one. If that's not you, or if you're just not that petty, then congratulations and I love you and keep listening. But that was something to confirm. Also, some of you are Green Wing fans because of the extremely politically incorrect phrase poison dwarf, which is like giving us a moniker to somebody's fellow employee at one point. So this could be someone at your work if it's not a third party situation. There's somebody pissing you off because they're kind of looking at what you're doing in order to determine what they're doing. And I don't mean in a copycat sense. I mean like they're looking at how advanced you are on a particular thing in order to figure out what their next move is. But if you did the Leo DiCaprio meme of pointing to them and sort of going, and standing up, they know it would make you look bad, right? Again, this could be a continuation from the energy last lunation that was not so keen on celebrating your successes, although they were very aware of them, right? So again, we're getting vibes of somebody maybe kind of spying on you or being clued in on what it is that you're up to, and saying like, yay, good for you, but in that passive aggressive, like, I fucking hate you, I'm going to outdo you kind of a way. This same person, I feel, you know, whether that's third party or whether it's something else, they're keeping a close eye on you, even though it kills them. Even though they hate seeing you glow up, they hate seeing you be successful, as discussed last time round. Check out the playlist for more info. They're keeping an eye on you in order to directly engage with somebody else that you either want to impress or that you're close to, so that they can say just the right thing to counter whatever it is that you're doing. Now, I don't get copycat with this. For some that may apply, and this is the channel that seems to discuss that a lot because I've experienced it quite a bit. But what I'm actually getting is more of an energy of like, if they feel you're progressing, they'll preemptively sort of pull this person away in some fashion. So if this is a boss or someone who's watching your professional progress, this is like a fellow employee who knows you've got something good to present, so they'll do some kind of big toys out of the pram style distraction, or they'll cause some kind of thing in the office in an underhanded way, so that actually you can't have that meeting to say, look what I've done. If this is a third party, this may be someone, I'm getting a vibe, honestly, of like, you're involved with someone, even peripherally. This is really reflective of my situation at the moment. You're involved with somebody who is involved with someone else. They think that you guys don't know each other, or that if you have heard of each other, it's like through them and it's minimal and stuff like that. But you know that they don't know that the person that would rather be with them kind of thing, or would want them to pick them over you, is very much keeping tabs on you, and there's a dynamic there. You may even, as I have, had to block somebody and do reflective magic and all the rest of it, because they're kind of very keen on seeing what you're doing. In this case, not so that they can emulate you, although that may be part of it, but so that they can check the times that this person might be pulled towards you and pull them in the opposite direction, or check the things that you are big on at the moment and say bad shit about those things, or kind of like really petty example that I can't think of anything else to illustrate this, but like, you're really into ships in bottles for some reason. You do you, boo. Hit me up in the comments if that is you. I'd love to know the kinds of people that are into that and what they get out of it. But anyway, you're really into ships in bottles as this example. You've been on your like public pages displaying pictures of the ships in bottles that you've managed to make. And your prospective person or prospective friend or prospective boss is super into ships in bottles on the low. So they think it's kind of impressive, they think it's kind of cool, but they check in on you less or in a different way to the person that wants to be their person, or wants their focus, or wants the promotion, or whatever it is. Whereas that person is always watching you because they have nothing better to do, which is very much my situation, right? Hi, if you're watching. So they're very cognizant of your ships in bottles obsession. They're also aware that like this might be a thing that the person they see as their person or their opportunity is into. Whether they know or not, they're going to preemptively, because they have access to this person in a way that you don't, they're going to be like in a bar after work, like, man, I really hate bitches who build ships in bottles. Like, what is the point in that? What a time-consuming, pointless endeavour. What a heinous hobby to have. I really think that these people possess these kinds of values. I used to know this person who made ships in bottles, and they were this kind of thing, and they were a massive slut, and they carried all these diseases, and they would be a terrible mom or dad. All the rest of it, right? All these stupid things, these persuasive, trickster manipulative things that we say. You know, you do you as you see fit. It might be people who make ships in bottles are terrible for this promotion, and this is why. Here is my TED talk. And I don't think that the person that you're interested in impressing or being around or whatever will even register that they're consciously trying to do something. I get a bozo energy where they're like, huh, that was really a tangent you went off on there. I'm going to drink my drink. But but there's certainly an extent to which they're absorbing. Ships in bottles, bad, right? And then obviously when they do check in on you, or when you are able to present to them, or whatever it is, months or even years down the line, if the first thing that you come at them with is, oh, I've been making loads of ships in bottles, what have you been up to? Then there's going to be a thing there, right? Do you see what I mean? I know it's a long-winded example, but it's that kind of a dynamic with whatever it is that makes you you. There is also a vibe from the person, either that you're trying to impress or that someone else that's coming in, that can't sleep because they miss you and hasn't really moved on from the situation. I do feel this is romantic. So if you're coupled up, if none of that is relevant, this is somebody from your past that's seeing that you're doing well. As we spoke about last time, seeing that you're the sort of spiritual Olympian vibe that we got, and sort of going, shit, I really missed out there. And it could be as simple as that, or it could be as complex as, at the same time as this trickster manipulation, where they're learning something new about people who make ships in bottles. There's also like a thing from them where they're feeling a pull towards you, and they don't actually belong to this person that's trying shit, and they don't belong to anyone, and they're kind of, there's some kind of thing between you where there's been a dynamic of arguments or ghosting or some kind of weird stuff, and they're like, I just can't deal with this, I just can't think about this. Flip it if you need to. I know I get cross watchers as well, and at least one of you may be watching with regards to something that I know is going on, but basically there's the energy of somebody, whether or not separate to this, who's missing you and who wants to like say that you fulfill a key role in their life that nobody can replace, whether that's professionally or otherwise. Then there is also somebody who's aware that you want someone else's time or attention, and so they're planting seeds about you before you get to have that conversation. In a way that like, let me give you this fun out of context tidbit so that you can learn something new. And it's about this person, i.e. you, but it's not really, because they're kind of doing it in this sneaky bullshit, stupid way. And hopefully this bozo person that you're trying to impress, will see through it eventually. Like, to me, if I'd had those conversations with somebody that I possibly low-key know to be manipulative, or know to kind of want me but not want me, or whatever the dynamic is, and then I suddenly came across like someone that I was linked to making ships in bottles, a penny would drop for me, right? And we can only cross our fingers and tentacles that happens for you too. But you're being made aware of it because it's kind of, the seeds are being planted over this next lunation between full, where tensions are high anyway, and people do impulsive, manipulative stuff anyway, statistically speaking, not even in a sort of woo way. And between the sort of waning, disseminating moon. Disseminating being like giving out info, right? It's the shadow of the fifth. It's expressive of something that isn't for the highest good. So all of that's going on, right? Before we get into classic love reading stuff. But again, that might pertain to a love reading also. You do you, boo. Let me know in the comments what hits, what doesn't, to the extent that you feel you can share. Right, let's get into this, because this is one person, this is another person. I'm not going to say who's who, because I feel like it will, different strokes for different folks, but also like who's who will kind of affect this, which I feel is an outcome column. And I don't normally read like this for Lunas, but it's where I'm being pulled, so we're doing this, all right? We're doing it. Death reverse, Hermit reverse, Temperance. Okay. Person A, we'll call them, is feeling a resistance to the ending of something. I strongly feel this could be reflective of this kind of energy, whether or not it's the same person. You may even, if this is you may have looked at these and been like, well, that's how I feel. And I'm sorry to do your voice like that. That's me making fun of me more than anything. I don't want this to end, is what this person is saying, but also I've been shut away for long enough and I'm putting myself out there, right? the thing to be clued in on that Spirit is adding to this is that, yes, they're putting themselves out there, but in a way that's potentially reckless, potentially a little bit unbalanced. So I don't know whether that's like going hard in the dating market, because I'm hearing Filmmaker, the Love Market album. Lust Riders is a song, I'll link it below. If you're not into Filmmaker, he's magnificent. I'm putting him on everyone. Anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, so this person may be going hard in that realm. They may be partying hard. They may be drinking a lot when that's not really them. They may be taking things when that's not really them. Or they may just be so keen on becoming social after a period of contemplation over this that they're becoming kind of hypersocial in a way that is possibly not boundaried enough, because a lot of these shapes are like, to me, they're like blocking off stuff and cordoning off and like separation with the arms, which is a bit Danger Robinson family, destroy, destroy. It's also a little bit like this thing and this thing in a Queen of Swords type way, you know, categorization and delineation of ideas, differences between X and Y, differences between beneficial kinds of people and non-beneficial kinds of people, between people who talk about ships in bottles because they're making them, and between people who talks about ships in bottles because they haven't got anything else to fucking talk about, right? Again, relevance to the last reading and or prior readings, go to my Lucky Dip playlist if you want more from me on that. There's also with this, it makes me think of the Adamant video for Prince Charming. Prince Charming, ridicule is nothing to be scared of, right? And then he does things with his arms, but that's the dance. Yes, it's boomer level old. My references come from everywhere, deal with me. What I feel is that as well as defensive posture, this is kind of performative posture. Part of this person going hard may be reflected in a change in their appearance, where they are being more overt, more extroverted, more new romantic vibes than they were before. I mean, look at Adamant's time period in history, right? It was very theatrical, performative. It was like precursor / synonymous with early goth. It was very like fancy dress-ish. And I think that something which will give away who this person is, if you're not already on the ball with this, is that they are making changes to their physical appearance, which are almost like they're in costume, but I don't feel it's out of integrity with who they are. I think it's just that they're going bigger. And again, I think this came up in the last one, but I'm hearing the thing from Inception of don't be afraid to dream a little bigger, where Tom Hardy pulls out the bigger GUN, right? So there's something about like, this person doesn't want something to be an ending, but they've isolated because I think they feared that it was over. And it really affected their confidence, I think, or it affected like how much they wanted to be around people, because there was some kind of bitterness here between you guys, even if it's just like you had a really good time but they didn't get a second date or something like that. There's just something that's like knocked them a bit and they're like, well, I guess I'll stay at home then, fuck. And I think they're coming out of it, but I think they're coming out of it in a way that's like, go big or go home, ridicule is nothing to be scared of. There is also a thing in the lyrics of that, obviously it's called Prince Charming, right? So there is something about the divine masculine archetype in its fledgling form, or a divine masculine that is younger than their counterpart. And when I say divine masculine, I'm going to do a broader thing on this, but I don't mean it in terms of gender or even gender affiliation. I mean it in terms of within any connection, there are positive and negative electrons. There is a force one way and a force in the opposite direction. And the divine masculine is just representative of the side of a relationship that has been the most active, right? That has been in pursuit rather than chased, or that has been demonstrative rather than private and cautious. So for all that this person was demonstrative, it didn't really lead them anywhere. And they got a bit, I want to say butthurt about that. They got a bit like, oh, well, I guess I'll just stay inside and cry. Or to a, excuse me, hiccups confirmation, but excuse me, to a less extreme end, it was like, oh, well, I was going to go out on Saturday, but I think I'll stay in. You know, it's anywhere on that spectrum. And then they're going out again, but they're going out in like a state of theatricality, performativity, slight imbalance, because they're making up for lost time in some way, right? Person 2, we've got a 9 of Pentacles, a King of Wands, and a 2 of Cups. I don't know why I needed to check those again. Person 2 may be having times where they're a bit forgetful, a bit discombobulated, because I never normally forget my cards once they're out. This may also be a person who's perhaps more comfortable with being single, or who has been in a single space for a long time. But let me tell you, they are moving into more horny bugger / let's make friends territory. So both of these energies are venturing out into the world, but I think they're doing it in different ways. I want to say person 2 is doing it in a more balanced way. A lot of these patterns are more intricate than these patterns, and are obviously doubled in that Rorschach way that I love about this deck, but in a way that is more intricate. It requires more of the doubling process. It's, you know, I imagine that if you were doing this as a paint project where you paint on one side and you fold and you open again, these shapes would be kind of easier to recreate than these ones. So what I mean by that is that in this mirror way, this person has done a lot more self-evaluation. They've looked at themselves, which is why this divine masculine type energy, if they're not younger, they're sitting in like page to knight, they're prince, right? Rather than king. And this is more divine feminine, but it's coming up as king, because king as an archetype is about leadership. It's about knowing what you want, being forthright, being very clearly expressive, not being afraid to ask for what it is that you require. And I think that's the mode that this person is in, at least over the time period of the full moon, through the disseminating and up until we do our next reading, which is at the last quarter of this month. Again, 9 of Pentacles is a very single energy, but this is also someone who's financially steady. They may have just become more so in some fashion. There's like promotion for this person somewhere. So if this might be you and you haven't yet heard the good news, congrats. There's stuff turning around for you in that sense. There's just a sense of like, it's like stateliness, right? It's slower in action, but it's steadier in footing, is what I want to say. Whereas this is very like nimble, quick, possibly open to manipulation, possibly very bombastic and performative, but it's because it's still finding its feet. This person, I don't think they're like always happy in their sexual energy, or I think that if they are, they've kept that energy private to themselves for a very long time because of prior experiences or just because of focusing on different things. At this time, they're going back into that, or they're at least thinking about it. They're starting to explore that. Or if this is a case of like SA or strange experiences in the past or something, they're starting to heal it, right? They're starting to read up on it, go to therapy, or like explore new avenues of stuff that they were interested in, which they may have had previous shame or fear around or something like that. Again, this could work for couples, like where one of you is doing these kinds of wilding things and one of you is exploring more from a steadier position. But for many of you, I feel this is a single reading because of this 9. But this is all kind of with a view to true collaboration with another individual. As much as this person's getting into slightly sexier energy, I don't think there's somebody who is casual in their connections, or I don't think they are going to be this time round. I think there's a steadiness coming in. Not necessarily long-term commitment and stability. I'm not really seeing like marriagey stuff or long partnership stuff. What I am seeing is that they want to be on truly equal footing with whoever is next, and that, because it covers this, is a precursor to them exploring their sexuality. So even if this person like wants to attend play events or wants to, you know, meet people in whatever environment or hook up or whatever, kind of underneath that, they are looking for strong, solid connections, friendships, beginnings of relationships to happen under that. What I'm really getting is that there is a person who has recently become aware of their standards, their boundaries, their potential for stability if they're looking for the right thing. And where this person is blocking off because they're still figuring it out, this person doesn't have any visible boundaries, but that's because their unseen boundaries are very steady, very practiced. They are absolutely used to churning people out who don't have their intentions at heart, but doing so in a discreet, polite, compassionate way that's saying, I'm really sorry, I'm not looking for this at this time, next, right? Whereas this person, I think, is like maybe more concerned with boundaries, possibly because they don't have any, or possibly because in not having had them for a very long time, when they draw them with people now, it takes literally more blood, right? These images are denser. It's taking more energy for them to say, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Because the people around them are more used to being able to tread over them or perhaps manipulate them. So it's like when they say no, people don't take it as seriously. And I'm not talking about consent here. I'm talking about like, can you be persuaded though? And I feel this person can. This person has not been able to be persuaded for a long time. They're possibly very fixed sign dominant or very like steady in a slightly aggravating way. I'm hearing the word cantankerous, which certainly is how someone thinks of me. And this would be me in this reading. But you know, they're used to saying no. And I don't mean that in a way of like they're always turning away opportunity. I mean it in the sense that it's not difficult for this person to discern who's good for them and just politely step away. Whereas for this person, it's been like a sudden realization that that's this kind of thing they need to do. And suddenly there's this huge monumental task. I'm hearing avalanche. And the avalanches might be relevant. But it's this thing of like, oh God, now that I know that this is what I want, I'm realizing that I'm going to have to say no to all these different people. And it's going to be a lot, right? So one person is quite overwhelmed, but acting performatively like they're not, because they're getting back out there and they don't want it to end and they're kind of in desperate energy. And then the other person, who is possibly their counterpart, is like, steady, steady. I feel ready now. I've taken a lot of time to get my money up and to sort of be relatively solitary and think over this. And now I'm looking for true companionship and I'm ready to explore sexuality within that. What is coming up is that these two energies, whilst potentially collaborative, might not be compatible at this time, in the sense that work needs to be done, particularly by this person. So, whilst the Prince Charming person can offer the other one a bit more of a kind of social lubrication, a bit more of a highly sexed energy that they're used to moving in, I think that they're intemperate or unbalanced enough at this time that that process might not go so well. And whilst this person can offer the Prince Charming person a measured form of stability and a measured approach to sexuality and a true offer of companionship and reciprocity, I actually think that that's what this person might be scared of in some ways. And I think that how measured this person is may be interpreted by this person as being like an ending or a refusal or a rejection or a refutation of something about their character. Indeed, with the sort of example of like somebody being more presenting in a different way, shall we say, like this person, if they remark on that in a very balanced way, I think this person would take it as hypercritical. And equally, if this person said like, God, you're so slow, or you're so like set in your ways, or you know what you want, that comes over like a criticism to this person. So there's a real need for measured communication, which again often is a full moon issue because everybody's tensions are high at that time. And Gemini is about duality. It's about reconciliation of opposite sides. The Lover's card is usually about either making a choice or about reconciling one polarity with another, or one part of self with another, in a way that is truly balanced. Using the mind and the words over the emotions, which again, I think I should say for a full moon. Outcome of these kinds of energies. Queen of Wands reverse, I'm interpreting as like a delay in sexuality for these people. Now, whether that's because Prince Charming thinks this person's a prude, or whether that's because this person thinks Prince Charming is a little bit too generous with themselves, or because their work here, their healing work, is not quite fully done. I don't know, you do you. But there's certainly like some of that put on pause. And I think like I'm seeing like a Ray face here, but I'm seeing this like smile, which is also kind of a grimace. So it's like these two both know that there's something here and that they potentially want each other. And they're both smiling at the other person, but it's like that kind of nervous smile meme thing. I'll find it if I can. I'll link it if I can find it, sorry. But it's like, this is all gonna work out, right? Kind of a smile. And I think it will, but I think both of them are unsure right now for different reasons, because they're coming from such different places, and they both have something in mind that they don't want to be finished and that they don't want to be in half measures. But the way that they express that is in complementary but very different ways. With the Five of Pentacles reversed, I think that at least one person here is going to react to this lack of sexual momentum in a way that is seeing it as rejection, as abandonment, as being cast out into the cold, perhaps all over again, right? If this rings true. I don't think that's what it is, but I think that's how it's going to feel, particularly because these two energies are operating in very different... They're doing the same thing, but they're from such different starting points that there's a misunderstanding here. And I think that if you're, well, whichever side you are on, caution needs to be taken in how actions are interpreted. And then we're ending in the Four of Swords reverse, which is the end of a rest period or a period of pause. If this is to do with a situation where stuff's been literally put on pause for you guys, or there's been ghosting or a break, or someone's been traveling or something like that, there's going to be an end to that, particularly by the end of these few days, and a reinvigoration of something new. But whenever you take something off pause, you kind of have to make sure that everybody's in their right places. The feeling I'm getting from this is almost like we're on set and someone's yelled action, but not everybody's at their marks, right? Or not everything's ready lighting wise, special effects wise, all of that. And it's just kind of running on without the due prep. So if you're seeing this reading today, whichever side you're on, I want you to take the preparation time to understand your position, understand what it is that you have to do to contribute to this energy, understand that your boundaries are okay to have, and particularly if they are sexual boundaries, that's totally healthy to do. But to maybe have a think about the way that you express that to another person, or indeed the way that you want to speed things up and how that's expressed in a way that is amenable to somebody who's doing some pretty difficult work on themselves in taking back their creativity, taking back their sexuality. Both of you are feeling a little socially anxious because of the knock-on effects of whatever's happened here. And again, broad spectrum from we had a first date or we started talking right over to we've been married for years and we're facing problems. But there's some kind of knock-on thing over these next few days. Just be aware of it. Just reconcile any differences you have within yourself to the point where you mentally know where you're going with this. Gemini moons are very mental, very articulate. You can step into that kind of third house energy and be very exacting in what it is that you're going to say, present, do, be, and stick by in terms of values. And if you don't need to decide on your boundaries, as with this person, then I'd certainly think there needs to be some further thought about how you communicate them to people who are not used to those kinds of things. And I say that partly from experience, right? Because for some of you in this pile, your problem isn't boundaries, it's that this other person isn't used to boundaries at all. So any dialogue they have over boundaries is going to be really blown up, really amplified. It's going to have a lot of projection and it's going to be very shouty, right? I'm hearing, I can't think of her character, but the wonderful alien in the Star Trek remake where she's talking about the Beastie Boys and she says, I like the beats and shouting, right? It's very like loud sabotage energy, right? Sabotage may be a relevant song, I'll link it down below. The other thing is here, this looks like a body bag being unzipped to me. I don't want to alarm anyone, please hear me out. That makes me think of Twin Peaks and the man in the smiling bag, right? So there is an element of, if you've been speaking in code in cryptic stuff, in log lady type messages to each other, now is the time to be just upfront, right? Gemini's about straightforward communication. It's flirty, it's fun, it plays with language in a sort of tricksterish way in the upright, but it's also like, it's not encoded so much as playful, right? So you need to step out of putting things across in a way that's guarded or coded, or maybe I meant that, maybe I didn't, and just say it, right? We're going to get a final thought from Bob Ross. It's this one. And he says, did you ever think you could just take a great big old brush and make all these beautiful little trees? You really can. This is the Five of Cups, which may be relevant in terms of prior love readings or general understanding, but it's usually about grief work or letting go of something that wasn't for you in order to celebrate something which very much is and is being around the whole time. That might be relevant. Certainly in my situation, it absolutely rings true, right? But then also, did you ever think you could take this and make it this beautiful is a thing. So something else to bear in mind while you're dealing with tricky communications and with putting yourself back out there socially, etc., is to take in how beautiful life is right now. To take in the sort of bare bones of like, where do you live? How did you come to live there? What's your job? How did you come to do it? Who are your closest friends? How did you come to meet them? What is it that they offer you? What do you offer them back? And just be really thankful of these day-to-day things, because if this stuff ever becomes a bit tumultuous and you're lost for conversation, or things are a bit stuck, or one of you's slower than the other, or one of you's more careless than the other, I think that what's going to kind of save you is to go back to the things that you both enjoy, that you're both grateful for, maybe even that you've both created over this time of rest or pause, and to compare notes in an appreciative and happy way, rather than a way that causes further stuckness, stagnancy, or an air of like, oh, I don't know what to say next, right? Because when we talk about our passions, our enthusiasms, our wands, our fiery energy, and indeed our sort of the undercurrent behind sexuality, even if it's not sexual speech, it's like creative energy, sacral chakra type stuff. When we're discussing that, we're so fired up that conversation is not an issue. It always makes me think of when you see Quentin Tarantino interviewed, and, you know, whatever you think of the man, if you started talking about film, he's just like bam, 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 fact a minute. You could get him talking for hours. In fact, it's difficult for interviewers to shut him up sometimes. And that's because that is his passion, that is his wands, that is his kind of sexual creative sacral energy is put into filmic output in this lifetime. So because he's so passionate, you can always learn something new from him, right? And that's something that can't be manipulated by someone from the outside. So go back to speaking about your passions, go back to speaking about progress. If you've been building your fucking ships in bottles, talk about them, because if you do so long enough, the penny will drop on the other side, right? But stay grateful. Stay aware of yourself and what your individual lessons are in this. Stay aware of the fact that you have energy that people desire in some way, and that that's something to be grateful for. Even that you have saboteurs, because frankly, if you've got people trying to like manipulate people actively to step away from you, you must be doing something right? You've got something over them at the very least. So, you know, be happy in that energy, take care of yourself, don't go too wild this full moon, stay steady, stay grateful, gracious, graceful, all those G words. And hopefully, if you did enjoy this, please like, subscribe, ding the dong, thank you kindly. I will see you next time.